beautiful soul. Welcome to the Quantum Business Queen podcast. This podcast is a vortex for activating wealth, riches, and boss bitches. It is here that I teach multi-dimensional business. Our content will fall under 3 different categories: 5D quantum creation, 4D frequency alchemy, and the most potent 3D strategy. Every aspect of business that contributes to the creation of success is covered here. Plus, I will be personally interviewing the most amazing boss bitches that are at the forefront of the game, paving the way for money, magic, and magnetism in business. Let's get ready to activate all of that within you. Hello, welcome to this week's episode of the Quantum Business Queen. I am so excited to let you in on a conversation we had, or part of a conversation we had in the insanely amazing container I call The Deep Undoing. The Deep Undoing was inspired by my time on Necker Island with Richard Branson, and I was talking about the frequency around money and how we assign it meaning and how we pin conditions on it. And it was such a potent conversation that it inspired me to do a whole other 9 weeks in the Deep Undoing on money. All of the conditions we put on money, we're going to undo all of it. And I'm so excited to give you a little taste of what that journey might look like. So without further ado, this week's episode is going to blow your mind. So we had some interesting conversations. I know it's kind of hard to pick up from last week, but we were talking about the concepts around receiving. And is receiving a construct that has been planted there to give the illusion that something is outside of us or not? So this is what we are delving into a little bit more. Where are you guys at with all of that? And again, remember, there are no truths, right? There are no truths. They're just resonance that align. There's energy that's aligned with your higher self. And so if we are what we want to do, here's how we become congruent. It's releasing the contradictions. Because the contradictions are what creates the gap, right? So for example, if we're saying we want to be abundant, but we're feeling the worry of the bank account, that's a contradiction. You can't have both. You got to choose one. Are we abundant or are we fucking freaking out? And it's okay to freak out because that has a purpose. Remember, we're not going to be vibing high all the time. It's okay. So alls I wanted to create in terms of awareness is there a contradiction when it comes to receiving that has been very subconscious and sneaky? Because if we're saying we are God consciousness, nothing exists outside of our imagination, nothing exists outside of our consciousness, nothing exists outside of who we are, literally nothing. Is there anything to receive? Is it just a recalibration? I don't know. I mean, it's just, for me, kind of a deeper layer of truth. A new calibration, a new level of shifting, that's something that's already there. If we're saying we already are, correct? There's then nothing to technically receive. So I know that was a bit of a mind bender one where it was like, don't know about Sarah. Ooh, don't know. Where are you guys at with that? Or is there a new perspective, a new way to look at something, everything that you already are? If you are source, if you are God consciousness, what more is there? Is it just an expansion of what we already are? Is it a recalibration into something? I don't know. So can we say we are it and we have to receive it? Is that a contradiction? If I am it, do I have to receive it? That's a contradiction, I would say. Yeah, it's a deeper truth, potentially. It's a good conversation. Yeah, I know. Sometimes, isn't it funny? But this is the evolution, Katie, of I'm the same with you. Like, it feels like, yeah, this is what my soul knows, but my mind is trying to figure it out still. It's like, my soul knows this. My mind's going to let it simmer for a minute. And this is the balance of evolution and ascension. When our souls evolve so quickly, our minds can't keep up. That's okay. the ball will drop when it needs to. And you might hear someone else say this eventually further down the road, and you'd be like, oh my gosh, that's the stuff Sarah was on about. Now it makes sense. So we have that many years of programming, however many years you've been on this planet, to realize that the mind is a really beautiful, powerful thing, and we love it, and we take it with us because it's part of this journey. We don't poo-poo the ego or think it's a bad thing or whatever. It all has a purpose. But then when we start unplugging from the reality, physicality, matrix, whatever, programs, and start living based on what I call divine knowing, and you let that be your compass, then you stop living so much from mind-based, and then you start allowing your ascension process to take over and your higher self to start taking over. And in order to escape the trap, this is a quote, you have to dismantle it piece by piece, right? And look at all the pieces, which is what this journey has been. And so you're in this dismantling process. You're looking at this. You're getting the gold and the awarenesses. You're dismantling what has been just the egoic perception. So then once you do, you can allow then your ascension process to take place, your higher self to be the guide. And that's true freedom. Because number one, the trap no longer has a hold on you. Number two, you can make any decision without needing the evidence of your physical reality. That's true freedom. When you can make any decision you want, regardless of if your physical reality says, yeah, good, go. Most likely it won't. That's true freedom. Knowing that everything will be sorted. Imagine true freedom. Imagine you got to the place where you could evolve into, yeah, I'm going to take that first class flight and it's going to sort itself out, even though the evidence wasn't there. That's true freedom. That's what deliberate manifesting is, deliberate creation is. That's what happened when I went to Necker Island. I'm going. Do not have the evidence that I could support this. In fact, I'm in the middle of a divorce right now, and all the assets are on the line. I'm a mom. The evidence is like, but I did it anyway. It scared the shit out of me. I don't know, like, it'd be nice to get to the place where I evolve past the fear, but maybe I won't. I don't know. I take it with me, though. I take it with me. So just because we're working with our divine self, the part of us that's ascended, the part of us that's connected to the higher realms and all the things in our soul, doesn't mean there won't be fear. Because the ego's still there going, what in the fuck are you doing? So money is one of the greatest teachers, okay? So money is one of the greatest teachers. It is one of the greatest teachers because it is connected to our primal survival as, well, the illusion would say it's connected to our survival. It is a consciousness, and you can play with it beyond the realms of what we have been taught. So in the Quantum Coach certification, I was talking about this Tuesday. And guys, this is crazy, okay? Here are the confines we put on. We put conditions on money. So money, when you can transcend, the reason why I want to talk about money is because when you can transcend money, not dictating your emotions, that is the number one indicator of you are really starting to anchor into self-mastery. Because money is the thing that has a hold on humanity, right? It is the indicator of success for most people. Let's just be honest. You know, a lot of factors, but money's the number one thing. Money, money, money. You know, money's not a bad thing. I want you guys all to have a shit ton of it. But it is the one thing, when you can transcend the hold money has on you or the emotions that money makes you feel, when you can transcend that and look in your bank account and be like, oh, I only have $50 and I have all these bills due, and still be neutral, that is self-mastery. That is self-mastery. You be neutral because you're not making the plugins mean that you're going to die, right? Or that you're going to lose everything. That's the meaning that takes over you. And then all of a sudden you activate all these primal instincts. You give all your power away, and you will do anything you need to do. Most likely that'll be out of alignment. And this is how money is a trap, because it's linked to our survival. Here's the thing with money. And I have experienced this several times in my life. Money is malleable. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. This is wild, okay? I've had these things that I've witnessed where I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Money is malleable. We stamp the conditions on money, and it just is an obedient soldier, as a consciousness, because it is a consciousness. It just says, yes, okay, you want to be scarcity, or you want to come in through these specific channels only. Well, those are the conditions. I have to accept it, right? Okay. Here's the reason why money is malleable. Now, I want you guys to play with this because I was playing with this before I was even consciously aware. I just look back on these circumstances going, how the fuck did that happen? So here's an example of money being malleable. We put an emphasis stamp on money, meaning we make a certain amount mean that it's a lot of money, or we make a certain amount mean that's a little tiny bit of money. We're the one that dictates that. We just see an amount, we just see $5,000 and go, wow, that's a shit ton of money. Or, oh my God, I'm freaking out. That's not that much money at all. We make it mean that, okay? That's the emphasis stamp. So when I was first studying abroad, it was 4 months actually. I said 3 months in the quantum coach circle. I came to Australia for 4 months. I had $5,000 to sustain me for that 4 months. But back then that was a lot of money for me. So I was like, wow, that is so much money. Oh my gosh. That money is malleable. It was able to stretch and do what I needed to do because I said it was a lot. I told it was a lot. It's malleable. $5,000 sustained me for 4 months living in South Bank, going on a holiday for a week to New Zealand and to Queensland, Cairns, which is not a cheap holiday. All of $5,000 because I said it was a lot of money. And it made itself, it bended and melded to be whatever I said it was. It has nothing to do with the number or the amount. It has everything to do with how we tell it to act in the world. Here's another example of this. That was such a highlighted thing in my consciousness. I'm like, how the fuck did I do that? $5,000, food. I was in my 20s, so I was going out all the time, drinking. Like, Melbourne is not a cheap city. Living in South Bank. I was living in South Bank in the CBD. I was also going to college. Went to New Zealand for a week with my friends on a Kentucky tour. And then I went to Cairns, out of all places. Anyway, we did a tour into the Cape Tribulation. It's we did tours as well. I just said it was a lot of money, so it made itself be a lot of money for me. You could do the same with debt, right? You look at $80,000 in debt or whatever, that's not that much. You decide, oh yeah, that's easy. Easy. That's a tiny amount. I've been able to pay off debt so quickly. When I first invested in my $33,000 coach, I paid it off in 6 months. That's fine. Tiny amount. I put the emphasis stamp. I made money shrink when I needed it to. I made it expand when I needed it to. The other time this happened that really highlighted, is this a bit of a mind bender one? Yeah, it is, but it fucking works. I only am telling you this because I've lived it. Other time this is really highlighted in my life was when I was working at Robert Half. When I first started in the Silicon Valley, the salary was $40,000 a year. And I was like, oh my God, that's so much money because I'd made 13 grand the year before. It's like, how do you survive as a college student, right? But anyway, you figure it out. Money's malleable. I was like, wow, $40,000 a year. When you make it expand, does that mean, no, that's the illusion. No, it's not about having more. It's about having that amount expand to do whatever it needs to do. This is my experience. And yeah, more will come, but you don't need to be attached to having more. It's everything that already is that expands itself for you. So the other time I did this was when I was so $40,000 is already a lot of money for me, right? And then I moved to Melbourne and my base salary was $60,000 and I was like, I'm rich. This is so much money. And it was so funny. Plus bonuses, I'm super, what the hell, I'm rich. And really that's average, below average salary. Here was a really interesting thing that I witnessed. I had a similar colleague, Irish colleague. We were same life situation. I was living in the CBD. She was in St. Kilda, whatever. We went out all the time together. She was like, I don't know how I'm surviving. She had this mindset of, this is just no money. I don't know how I could survive off this. She was just barely getting by week to week to week and just making ends meet. She was like, I have to take out a credit card. I'm like, what the fuck? I was asking her, tell me about and I was like, I was delving in, asking her whole life situation. She had a rich dad as well, so he was paying for shit. But anyway, I was like, in my mind, I was thinking, we have the same life situations. We have very similar variables, very similar, all the thing. We go out together. She's freaking out. She always had a very negative mindset, by the way, that it was never enough. And and the money made it so it was never enough to where I was like, I'm fucking rich. I saved for a house deposit. And then meanwhile, we have the same, we're going out together like it was us. We're like the trio. So it expanded for me because I said it would, and I said it was a lot, saved up and bought a house in Williamstown, and it contracted for her because she said $60,000 was not that much and it could barely get by, and it was the same amount. I have done this with time. Also, yes, it does work with time as well. It does work with time. Yes, yes, yes. Everything in our reality is malleable. We did an advanced manifestation workshop in the Quantum Coach certification. There are no facts. Everything is malleable. The facts are the trap, right? The facts are the trap. So money is malleable, and it doesn't need to be that. It could be the $5,000 sustaining you for 4 months in Australia. Literally, my mind boggles when I think about it. I don't know how, except for the fact that money is malleable. I said it was a lot. It did what it needed to do for me. By the end, I had 0 cents in my bank account. I used it all, but it did exactly what I said I asked for it to do. Sustained the 4 months. It did exactly, and by the end of the 4 months, I think it was like a little bit negative by the end, like $7 or something. I forget. Anyway. But this is the illusion, right? Money is the consciousness, the obedient soldier. It will do what we say it needs to do. It will expand as we say it can expand. It will contract. And sometimes we want money to contract if we have lots of bills, right? It's our free will. And, we are co-creating with the consciousness that is money. It is a consciousness, and it accepts every single condition we put on it. It accepts every emphasis stamp we put on it. It says okay to everything. So if we say you're a lot of money, or if we say you're a tiny bit of money. So if we have money in our bank account and we're complaining that it's not that much, it goes, okay, I will be not that much for you then. And if it is the same amount, let's say you have $1,000 in your bank account and you're freaking out. You're saying, shit, that's not that much. It goes, okay, I'm not going to expand myself. I'm going to be not that much. Or if you have $1,000 and you say, this is a shit ton of money, it says, yes, I will be that for you. It doesn't change its number. It doesn't change its numerical value. It just expands with how you direct it to expand. This is beyond the realms of how people talk about money. But I only know this because I lived it. It just makes no sense. It's like nonsensical how I did that in the past. And then it was really interesting to witness somebody with a money mindset of, I don't ever have enough. And it was always the people who grew up with no disrespect to people who have rich families. I didn't grow up with money at all. So money, like any amount of money was a lot for me. That was a gift. That was a really cool gift. But then I noticed when people like always had it around and then they were used to having amounts and then the amounts contracted, they labeled the amounts as a little bit and the money said, okay, then I'll be that for you. I'll be a little bit for you. But for me, it was a lot of money. So it said, yes, I'll be that for you. I was in overflow. I was saving for deposits and I bought a house. For when I was just turning 29 or whatever, bought a house for $600,000. That was a really big deal for me back then. I mean, that's so cheap for Melbourne now. You will never find a house for that. But for me back then, it was like, wow, it just did what I asked it to do. This is again, this next layer of self-mastery. So it's just like you become this wizard, right? This sorcerer where you're just like, okay, I'm going to expand you. I'm going to make you expand more and more and more and more. The number doesn't have to change in my bank account, but the way you're going to look after me and take care of everything, because that's the condition I've asked of you. And you say yes to everything. That's how you play with all of this. Really, really powerful. It's really cool. And you know what is even better? It releases the density you have around money, which is just worth it in and of itself. You just say $1,000 is so much money. Wow, I just feel so much better about that. Rather than freaking out, being all dense and all worried about whatever. This is I would say the first layer of play when it comes to money, letting it expand for you, regardless of what the amount is, letting it expand for you. That's the first layer. The second layer of play, and these are all muscles that you build. The second layer of play is then being able to choose regardless of the evidence, because the money will come and catch up to you. It really does. Unless you get into scarcity and start freaking out, because you can't, it will also take that condition as well. Do you see how sneaky the programming is? Yeah, this is why it is the I am consciousness. It is releasing the contradictions. That's what I am consciousness is. These are all my desires that I already am, but then what is the program that have contradicted everything I've said I wanted? And they all serve a purpose, of course. We want to say all the contradictions also serve a purpose. Because if we're resisting the contradictions, more contradictions, more resistance. Oh, so cool, right? So cool. Like, we really are magic. We really are magic. We really have the ability to transcend. And the more we can surrender to what is, stop poking meanings at all the things we don't like, stop that, the more magic we can receive. Well, not receiving, the more we can open up to our own magic that's already there. Okay. So there's always been, there's a lot of beings here to help the planet with ascension, and even the beings that are here to help the planet with ascension want to still hold a level of control over humans, because the light beings have an agenda too, just like humans. There are good humans, and the good humans have an agenda, right? And they said there's a percentage of these light beings that would be considered light beings or whatever, have good intentions for us. They don't want things to be destroyed or whatever, but they still want to have hold on the programming, because humans are that powerful. We're that crazy powerful as our God's self that our consciousness would take it in a whole different trajectory that didn't necessarily align with their agenda. Not to say the agenda's bad, but it didn't align with the agenda. So the Arcturians were saying, yes, there are certain percentages of light beings in there. There's like the, Rennie trans channels of Federation, Galactic Federation. There is a federation of beings that have come together to be like, right, we're coming together to help with this agenda. They have an agenda too. But what the Arcturians are saying is, you guys don't realize like how crazy powerful humans are. Humans are so powerful. We are the sorcerers. We can just take a number, $1,000, and then sorcerer it into expanding into whatever we need that to be for us. That's how powerful we are, to the point where even beings of light are like, "Ooh, gosh, but let's not let them get too ahead of themselves, okay?" And it's a good thing as well, because you don't want an Atlantis, situation up in here, do we? Anyway, so it's just really cool. Like, it's just really cool. Like, when we start dismantling this trap and come into this deeper layer of awareness that, oh my gosh, even the beings of light are worried about when we tap into our true essence of what would be. Okay. Thank you so much for listening today, beautiful soul. I hope you got so much gold and were activated in such a way that you could step into your highest timeline of abundance and freedom, because it is more than possible for you. If that desire has been planted in your soul, it is so deliberate. If you wouldn't mind, please rate, review, subscribe to this podcast so that we can get this message into the hearts and ears of more amazing light beings across the world. I would love to continue this conversation with you, so feel free to get in touch on Instagram at sarah.tynan.quantumcoach. If you're a Facebook person, you can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Sarah Tynan International. And please don't ever forget, if your desire is there, it's because your destiny is there too. You just have to remember who you are. Bye for now, beautiful.